Welcome back to the Hypernomicon tutorial series. I'm Jason Winning, and here I will show you how to level up your productivity in Hypernomicon by harnessing the power of queries. This is the fourth video in the series, and if you haven't checked out the others yet, I would recommend watching the videos in order, starting with the introductory tutorial. In prior videos, I have covered some of the ways you can find, visualize, and gain insights from information contained in your database. For example, you can use Ctrl or Command F and search for records in the main search box at the bottom of the main window. However, there are times when you need to do a more targeted search with more complex criteria, view record data in a more comprehensive and customizable table format, or generate special purpose reports. For example, a report of potential duplicate person records. As we'll see in this video, queries are also a powerful tool for managing your files. For example, queries will be your go-to tool whenever you want to prepare PDF files to send to colleagues or to make them available as course readings, as well as doing targeted full-text searches within your PDF files. The good news is that constructing and running queries in Hypernomicon does not require any familiarity with programming or query languages like SQL. Instead, Hypernomicon offers an easy-to-use point-and-click interface suitable even for casual users. Let's begin by taking a look at the Queries tab. The Queries tab is where you can access all functionality related to queries in Hypernomicon. We'll look at a couple of examples before going into the features in detail. Let's start with an example query to find all institutions in the database that are located in Australia. Since the search is focused on institution records, I'll begin by selecting Institution Records from the Query Type column. Next, I'll choose Where Field as my query type because I want to filter by a specific field in these records. For the field, I'll select Country. Finally, I'll select Australia as my country record. With the criteria set, I'm ready to run the query. I'll do this by clicking Execute Query. Once I execute it, the results will appear below in the Query Results pane. Each row corresponds to a single record in the database. Since I chose Institution Records as my query type, each resulting record is of type Institution. To organize these results, I can sort them by clicking on one of the column headers, for example, Institution Type. Sorting the results by column can help you quickly identify patterns or groupings in the data. If I need a more advanced sort, I can hold Shift and click on the City column header to sort first by institution type and then by city. This multi-column sorting works in other places in Hypernomicon as well. Now let's move on to another query. I can start a new query by clicking the plus next to the tab for the current query. This time, I want to search for problem debate records where the description field contains the text goal-directed. To do this, I'll select Problem Debate Records, Where Field, Description, Contains Text, Goal-Directed. Once the results appear, I can navigate to any of the records by double-clicking on its row. I can also explore the results further by using the Record Description pane. This pane, located at the bottom of the Queries tab, can be expanded by clicking the corresponding button. When expanded, it displays the description for the currently selected record, providing deeper insights at a glance. By now, we've looked at the three main regions of the Queries tab. The Query Fields pane, where we define the search criteria, the Query Results pane, where the matching records are displayed, and the Record Description pane, where the description for the selected record is shown. Let's take a closer look at the Query Fields pane. The first step in running any query is selecting the query type. There are two main categories of queries: record searches and reports. Reports will be covered later in this video. Most of the options under query type pertain to record searches. To start, choose the type of records you want to search or leave it open by selecting Any Records, meaning that the search will not be restricted to a specific record type. Let's select Concept Records, which represent particular definitions for a given term. Once I've chosen the type of records, the next step is to select the query. Each query defines how the search will be conducted. For instance, the with name containing query allows you to find records containing specific text in their name. Some queries don't need extra details, while others require parameters, additional pieces of information to refine the search. A query might need 1, 2, or even 3 parameters. For example, the with name containing query requires entering the search text as parameter 1. I'll input my search text, click Execute Query, and Hypernomicon will display a list of concept records whose names contain the text I entered. Now let's explore a different type of query. Suppose I want to find all records where the description links to a specific record. I start by selecting any records and the query with description linking to record. Notice that for this query, parameter 1 shows a list of record types. I'll select Concept and then choose the concept record for abstraction. After clicking Execute Query, the results consist of concept records whose descriptions link to abstraction. Up to now, each of our queries has consisted only of a single criterion. We can also use multiple criteria to search for records and specify how these criteria should be combined logically. By leveraging logical operations like AND, OR, and even custom Boolean expressions, you can craft highly specific searches tailored to your research needs. Let's start simple, finding works that include both Peter Kugler and Michael Turvey as authors. I'll select Work Records as the query type. Add the first criterion, where field, author, is or includes record, Peter Kugler. On the next line, add the second criterion. I again select Work Records, where field, author, is or includes record, Michael Turvey. Now the results include only those 5 work records that have both individuals as an author in my database. Note that there is an evaluation logic setting which is currently set to the default of AND. This means that the query will only return records that match all of the criteria. If we instead select OR and execute the query, we will then get records that match one or more of the criteria. This means that the results now include any work that has either Peter Kugler or Michael Turvey as an author. A third option is to select Custom Evaluation Logic and specify how the criteria should be logically combined. With our 2 existing criteria, select the Custom Evaluation Logic setting. In the text box, enter 1 and not 2, and click Execute. The numbers 1 and 2 represent lines 1 and 2 of the query criteria. Now the results only include any works authored by Kugler but not Turvey, of which there is only 1 in my database. Custom logic expressions can include the keywords AND, OR, and NOT. You can also use parentheses to group operations and control precedence. Imagine there's a specific query you may want to run on multiple occasions. Instead of re-entering the query fields and evaluation logic each time, Hypernomicon allows you to save it as a favorite. Here's how. With your query set up in the Queries tab, click Add to Favorites. A prompt will appear asking you to name your query. Be descriptive enough to remember its purpose later. You'll also see an option to specify whether you'd like the query to execute automatically whenever the favorite is invoked. This can save you an extra click. Now this favorite can be invoked at any time by going to Favorites in the main menu, Queries, and selecting the name of the query. Favorites will persist across sessions, so the next time you start Hypernomicon, all your favorites will still be available for use. If you ever need to delete a favorite, select it from the Favorites menu so its query loads in the Queries tab, then click Remove from Favorites. We've seen that when you run a query, the resulting records are listed in the results pane, including columns that display each record's fields. There are also additional columns that can be displayed if desired. If you want to display any of these additional columns or hide unneeded columns, You can customize which columns are showing by clicking the plus button at the top right corner of the Query Results pane. This opens a pop-up where you can select or deselect individual columns and column groups. If your query results include work records, and the database is linked with a reference manager like Zotero or Mendeley, you'll notice a column group for reference manager fields. These columns are hidden by default but can be turned on from this pop-up. Count columns are particularly helpful when dealing with fields containing multiple values. To enable them, check the box for the count column corresponding to your field of interest. For instance, if you want to identify which works source the most arguments, you can run a query on work records to simply list all records, turn on the argument count column, and then sort the results by this column to see which work has the highest number of arguments. If you ever want to change the order in which columns display, simply drag and drop the column headers to your desired position. Sometimes it is useful to take action on a certain set of files in your database, such as a certain set of PDF files. You may want to send multiple readings to a colleague, make papers available for download online, or distribute them to your students as course readings, for example. Finding and collecting these files can be tedious, and even more tedious is removing your highlighting and notes from the PDF files before sending them out. The File Actions menu on the Queries tab makes performing these tasks quick and easy. For example, suppose I have a note record for a course I am going to teach. I have selected the readings and assigned them as key works for the note record. Now I will create a query consisting of work records that are mentioned by record, note, and select the note record for my course. Now, all of the work records mentioned by the note record for my course are listed. 3 of the results are entire books that I had thought might contain useful material to use for my course, but I don't want to send them out to my students. I can remove these from the search results by selecting them, right-clicking, and selecting Remove from Query Results. Now suppose I want to also include Jim Pryor's Guidelines on Writing a Philosophy paper in my course materials, which is not in the list of results yet. To do this, I will navigate to the work record, and then I can go to Tools, Add this record to Query Results. This will add the record currently showing to the query that is showing in the Queries tab. Back in the Queries tab, I can see that Guidelines on Writing a Philosophy paper is now included in a list of results. Now that all the desired records are listed in the query results, I will go to File Actions and first select the option to copy files without annotations. I don't want my highlighting and notes to be included in the copy of the files the students receive. Then I will select Clear Search Results folder and add all results. Hypernomicon then adds a copy of the PDF files with annotations removed to my database's Search Results folder and opens that folder in the System Explorer. The options under File Actions never move or delete the files that are associated with database records. They only make copies to the Search Results folder for temporary use and delete those copies when they are no longer needed. In the case of book chapters, it will extract only those pages of the PDF occupied by the chapters. To see how to set the starting and ending page numbers for a book chapter, see the Hypernomicon tutorial video on managing PDFs, other files, and folders. Now I can simply upload the files to my website or my institution's online learning management system. The File Actions menu can also help you to do targeted full-text searches within your PDF files. Suppose I want to do a full-text search within all of the works authored by William Bechtel. Since I run queries on Bechtel's works frequently, I already have a favorite set up for that query. Again, I will choose File Actions and this time uncheck the option to copy files without annotations. This will make copying the files go faster. Then select Clear Search Results folder and add all results. From the Explorer window, I will do full-text search against the Search Results folder using my favorite freeware full-text search application, Agent Ransack, to find mentions of Democritus within Bechtel's works. Full-text search is not yet possible to do within Hypernomicon itself as of version 1.30.2, but this is a feature enhancement planned for a future version. Before turning to the last topic of the video, I want to call out the fact that there are a few ways to run queries from outside the Queries tab. We already saw one of these, which is to invoke a query from the Favorites menu. Another way to run a query is from the search box at the bottom of the Hypernomicon main window. Pressing Ctrl or Command F within the Hypernomicon main window brings focus to the search box and also toggles between search modes. The default search mode is Find as you type, which displays results immediately as you are typing. This search mode attempts to display the most relevant results in order of relevance, similar to a web search engine. Hit Ctrl or Command F again, and the search mode changes to Find within all fields. When you hit Enter, you are taken to the Queries tab where a new query to find your search text within any field is automatically run. Usually this will generate a larger number of results than Find as you type mode, as it does a more comprehensive search. One more way to run queries from other tabs is by clicking the Mentions button. When you are on a record tab, such as the Terms tab, clicking this button will take you to the Queries tab and automatically run a query showing records with any text that would link to the record that was previously showing. In other words, it finds records that mention the record that was showing. And now we come to the last topic of this tutorial, running reports. Whereas record search queries allow you to search for records using specified criteria, reports are a different type of query that can provide you with broader, pre-designed insights about your database. Report queries sometimes include interactive elements that allow you to take action on the information presented. Currently, Hypernomicon includes 3 reports. The Application License and Notices report simply shows license information for Hypernomicon. The Dangling Labels report shows work label records that aren't currently in a parent-child relationship but potentially should be. This will be discussed in a future tutorial video on uniting records. The Duplicate Authors report is much more useful. It displays authors with similar names together with the option to merge authors that represent the same person. A duplicate check is also done at the time you are entering a person's name in the Persons tab, but this report presents you with cases you might have previously missed. When you click the Merge button, you are presented with options to select the first name, last name, and search key of the merged record. In the future, more reports will likely be added. If you have any ideas about reports Hypernomicon could include, or other ideas about potential enhancements, I encourage you to add a feature request at the Hypernomicon SourceForge page, which is linked from the video description, or comment below. With that, we've reached the end of this tutorial. Today we explored how to craft powerful record search queries with multiple criteria, save favorites for repeated use, customize query results, take further actions on associated files, and run pre-designed reports. There are a number of other queries besides the ones mentioned in this video that you can also explore and experiment with. If you have any questions about the topics discussed, join the discussion forums on the SourceForge page, or feel free to comment below. See you in the next Hypernomicon tutorial, and thanks for watching.